When you say the word who collectively make up the most amount of prison guards,
okay, the majority.
You would say, well, yes, it's men, except in this one prison. Who gives a shit? It has no bearing on the argument at all.
Okay, so women in the military are not laying their lives down for men. They're only laying their lives down for American women.
I'll tell you what. Give me a war. Name any war you want, and I'm going to tell you the combat deaths of women in that war from being in the military.
Let's speak in present times. Let's speak in present times.
Any present war. Present war.
I'm talking about present wars that we are.
I'm talking about present wars too.
Okay.
Any present war.
Okay, I think that you're just upset that I disproved your point, and it's okay.
No, you didn't disprove anything.
It's okay.
You said you want to be submissive to men and follow his lead, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't have any input that should be fairly considered in big decisions. Does negotiation and compromise have a place in relationship? How does that fit into absolute submission? Andrew probably would like to have a back and forth with you on this one.
And can I add something to that?
Sure.
Because this is something that we talked about earlier. What if I'm the primary income earner in a relationship? And maybe that's not ideal, but when it comes to if I was more of the provider, would the expectation of the role change? Or would I be expected to relinquish all of my income to the man to make decisions with it?
Yes, you would. Yeah. And I'll explain why.
One thing really quick
first. If I were to start dating Kylie Jenner, yeah, she's going to listen to me.
I will explain my rationale before you say you want to die alone.
Yeah. I like hearing your point of view.
Let's start with this. If you had to put a value on something, what is the most valuable thing you can think of? The most valuable thing you could ever envision. The thing which, if it's taken away, can never be gotten back. I would say life.
Life, okay.
I'd say life. Would you disagree with that?
No, you can never get that back.
Yeah, right. Once it's taken, you can never get it back.
Yeah.
A man's obligation is to die on your behalf. So if there's a threat or danger to you, his job's to die before you die. You cannot replace that. So he cannot be replaced by anything else because his job's to sacrifice himself for you. So yeah, you give up the money, and you give up the control, you give up the power, but the exchange to all of that is that when the lifeboats go off of the Titanic, who gets in them first? Who gets in them first?
Women and children.
Yeah, women and children. So if the man is to be the sacrifice for you, he gives his life for you, then why is it problematic for you to turn over the dominance in a relationship to him?
I don't want to be the dominant, but especially if I'm the breadwinner, I would want significant consideration for my...
Women don't die for men, ever. They don't ever die for men. Men die for women all the time, nonstop. Women do not sacrifice their lives for men. You can't show me a historic standard anywhere where that's ever happened. They don't do it. There may be some exceptions where some woman has done self-sacrifice on behalf of a man for her life versus his. Essentially, it never happens. I mean, for all practical purposes, men are always the ones who give up their lives on behalf of women and children. Their actual life. Now, you can make an argument that, well, a woman gives up her life over years of time and blah, 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 but that would apply to men too. Men actually lay their lives down in defense of you, defense of the nation, defense of your home, defense of your honor, defense of your pride, defense of your name. They lay their lives down for everything. Here's an example of this, right? I just want to ask the panel, and we can ask the entire panel this question, and I think that through this, we'll be able to reason this out. If a man who you are with, you're walking down the street, and another man insults your honor, do you think that it's appropriate, and would you want the man that you're with to protect your honor? Meaning, if a man you're with, you're walking down the street arm in arm, and another guy comes by and pinches your ass, don't you prefer that your man turns around and smacks him across the mouth? Raise a hand. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And
I have
when does
an
that
anecdote
happen?
about
and
this, though.
And hang on, when does that happen in reverse, not often. So the thing is that men are always there putting, now, by the way, a physical confrontation with another man doing that on your behalf leads to death. It leads to death for men. Just protecting your honor leads to death for men all the time. In fact, more men in the United States are killed with feet and hands than they are with AR-15s, because this is such a happenstance. It happens so often that men engage in physical combat with each other, often on behalf of women's honor. This does not happen in reverse. So since that is the case, yeah, give up your money. Yeah, give up your money, give up your control, because that's what you get in exchange. We don't get that in exchange. Who's dying for us? Not you. Not women. Women aren't dying for men. Show me where women are collectively dying for men. Anywhere. Ever.
Childbirth.
Nowhere. Nowhere. Go ahead. I'm waiting. I want to hear an
Not giving
example.
birth to their child?
When collectively, can you guys name that women have ever died on behalf of men? Laid their lives down on behalf of men. Give me one example.
Childbirth.
No, they don't do it. During childbirth, they're not doing it on behalf of men. They're doing it on behalf of their children. They're doing it on behalf of their
I think women are
children.
doing it on behalf of the baby that their man put inside of them. So I
Yeah,
would
so the
argue that they
baby-
are doing
yes,
it for
the baby.
men.
They're laying
And a
down
man
their
is
lives.
not
And now
physically
they don't
capable
even
of
do
doing that.
Now they kill their children. Now they kill them. They don't even bother having them anymore.
Okay, nobody
So
was
the
talking
thing-
about that.
Yeah,
Isn't-
but we are talking about that.
Isn't half of the babies masculine?
You saying that you will birth your child, you're not doing that on behalf of your man. That's
But
insanity.
a child can be a man as well, right?
I think
What?
it means like
Like-
your man, like
Okay.
your
I see what you're
partner.
saying.
Yeah, we're talking about somebody who is doing the thing for the purpose of the protection of X thing. Men lay their lives down, and the historic standard that I can appeal to is that men collectively always lay their lives down for women and
So
children.
protecting your
The
baby-
hang on, stop,
Sorry.
let me finish. The reverse never happens. Point to me where the reverse ever happens.
Okay, so protecting your baby by giving childbirth isn't enough.
I don't even know what that means. What does that even mean?
So, or not, it's the same. It's not protecting
No,
your
it's not the
child
same.
if you give
But
birth.
if you're bearing your child, you're not doing that on behalf of your man. You're doing that on behalf of you and the child.
Yeah, so a child can be a man as well, right?
No, a child's not a man. No,
What? What?
that would be a boy.
Masculine then.
I think that's just like a women's role, though, that men are not capable of. So, I mean, you are doing it on behalf of your joint couple as a woman, and you are risking
No,
your
men are
life.
expected to do this for strangers' children and strangers' women. Otherwise, we would not have the lifeboat analogy, would we?
I think it's also kind of like a dangerous thing, though.
I think
because-
like you should answer to what I actually just said, which is why do we have the lifeboat analogy that women and children get on the
Oh,
lifeboats
I'm not disagreeing
first?
with
It's not
you.
those aren't my women and my children. Why do they get on the lifeboats first?
I'm not disagreeing with you that that's a man's role, but I'm just saying that I do think that a woman going through childbirth is an example of her doing something that's risking her life on behalf of a man.
They're not doing it on behalf of men. Demonstrate
You're doing it
how
on
they're
behalf
doing
of
it
your
on behalf of the
husband.
man.
You're doing it on behalf of your husband who put the child inside
No,
of you.
you're not doing it. First of all, most childbirths are not even done anymore by the husband.
Why?
Half these chicks get knocked up by some random guy they never even talked to again. How
Why?
are they doing it on behalf of men?
Why do women and children get in the lifeboat?
Because men have always been sacrificial lambs on behalf of other men and women and children. Because you're the weaker sexes, and you both women and children. Look, you laugh. How am I wrong?
We're
I'm sorry. Are
weaker
women the
sexes?
stronger or weaker sex?
Does it have anything to do with women and children can inform the future more so than men? Like children
No.
can grow up to be
How
men
so?
to sacrifice, and women
One man can repopulate against 50 women, but women are limited to only being able to be pregnant from one man at a time.
Yes,
so
but
no,
there have
that
to be
argument
women.
makes no sense either.
But there have to be
the
women,
truth is
though.
that one single man could repopulate the earth. One woman could not. One single man could repopulate the entire planet Earth.
As long as
Every
there were
single
women
day,
there.
You could screw a different chick and impregnate her. A woman cannot do that.
But
So
that's
no,
why we need each
women,
other.
When you talk about the necessity of the future, a single woman could not be necessary to the future, whereas a single man could be.
Yeah, I agree that men and women should be on Earth. Like, both of them.
Oh, well, I mean, that's
yeah.
great. What a great argument. I also agree that they deserve to be on Earth. I
Yeah,
don't
men
know
are
what that has to do with
stronger,
my
but they
argument.
need women, and women
I
need
agree
men.
that the whatever podcast studio should have windows. I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
what the hell
I
you're
agree as
talking
well.
about,
Yeah,
so.
we both need each other, right? Yes. So what?
Yeah, well, yeah, okay, but this has nothing to do with my argument. This has nothing to do with my argument.
Oh, but you can have the
So
argument.
here's my argument. Ready? I'm going to tell you my argument again because you just don't seem to understand it, right? Men collectively lay their lives down for women. Women collectively do not lay their lives
What
down
about
for
women
men.
in the military?
What about them?
Are they not lying?
I'm sorry. Do you think that the military is made up of mostly men or women?
No. I'm just speaking about these specific women in the military. Who are they like?
What do you think the word collectively means?
I'm asking you a question,
And
Andrew.
I'm asking you,
women
what do
in
you
the
think the word
military.
collectively means?
Women in the military.
Restate my argument.
I'm restating my question.
Yeah.
Women in the military.
I need you to contend with the argument that I
Okay.
made first. Can you restate my argument?
This has nothing to
first?
do with what I'm talking about.
Can you restate my argument?
Your argument is that women do not lay their lives down for men. Women
Wait,
in
what about
the
word
military have
collectively?
signed
No,
up
that's not my
to.
argument. You're lying.
Yes,
to your
the
teeth.
collective
What does the
group
word
of women in the
collectively
military.
mean?
Collectively, the
What
group
does
of them.
the word
The
mean?
group,
What does the word collective mean?
the group of women in the military, that would be the collective of women in the military, are laying
is
their
not the
lives
collective of
down.
women.
That is a
No,
collective
that's
of
a third.
women.
Okay, so just to get this right, I just want to make sure that we're correct here.
Let's
us
make
assume
sure.
for a second that if we're looking at all the prisons in the United States with prison guards, and you have one prison that has more female guards than men, but all the other prisons have more male guards than they do women. When you say the word who collectively make up the most amount of prison guards,
Okay, the majority?
you would say, well, yes, it's men, except in this one prison. Who gives a shit? It has no bearing on the argument at all.
Okay, so women in the military are not laying their lives down for men. They're
No,
only
in
laying
fact,
their
they're
lives
not.
down for
In fact,
American
they're not.
women.
I'll tell you what. Give me a war. Name any war you want, and I'm going to tell you the combat deaths of women in that war from being in the
Let's
military.
speak
Give
in
me a
present
single one.
times. Let's speak in present
Any
times.
present war. Any
There's-
present war.
I'm talking about present wars that we
I'm
are.
talking about present wars too.
Okay.
Any present war. And
Okay,
I'll tell
I
you
think
the
that you're
amount
just
combat
upset
deaths
that
of women.
I disproved your point, and it's
I agree.
No, you didn't
okay.
disprove
I agree.
anything.
It's
Give me a
okay.
present
It's
war.
okay. It's okay.
No,
Women lay their
present
lives
war.
down for men too.
You're
It's
still just
okay.
talking. Can you answer my question? Can you give me a present war, and I'll give you the deaths, the military deaths of
But there's
women in
not an
combat
equal number
from
of
that
men
war.
and women in the military, or a majority of women in the military. So of course there's going to be more men who die. If you put more men out to die, more
Then
men
we can
will
do it per
die.
capita. Then we can do it per capita, right? So we can take the percentage of women who are in the military who die versus the percentage of men.
But are there
and still come up
women
with
in the
answer.
military dying on behalf of men? Yes
Yeah,
or
but
no?
we can just do that by per capita,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
We can just do it
Okay.
per capita.
Okay. No, I'm asking you, are there women in the military who are dying
Yes,
on
there's
behalf
some-
of
there's
men?
Some women. There are some women who die in the military. Yes.
Okay, on behalf of men.
That would not show that the collective of women are willing to die on behalf of men. I can
Well,
demonstrate
I think
how
that
men are
when
willing
the
to
military
die for
is
the collective of
50-50,
women.
let's revisit this conversation, and then I guess
No,
that
let's visit it right now.
We have
Let's
visited it,
now.
and I think you don't want to visit it anymore.
I want to visit it right this second.
I've been visited it. I've been visited
Okay,
it, and I
great.
told
Can
you that
give
women.
give me a war in modernity, any war, in fact, that you want, and I will give you the combat deaths of women in that war, and we'll match.
But
that
let's look
per
at the
capita.
military
Stop talking.
enrollment
Let me
of
finish.
women. It's not the
Let me
same.
finish. Let me finish.
I think currently we're in war with him. So
Let me
it doesn't
finish
count.
so that you can understand my point.
Right.
I will take the per capita deaths of women in that war, the percentage, and we'll match them towards men in the same role. Who do you think dies more?
Okay, yeah, but are women assigned the same combat roles as men
Yes,
in these wars?
that's what I just said. You're not even listening. So one
No,
more
but
time.
I'm saying women are willing to do those roles. Are they assigned to them though?
It's like talking to a brick wall. You don't even understand what I'm saying.
I do understand what you're saying. You're
if
saying
you
per
stop-
capita
if you-
deaths,
If
so
you
like
stop
per-
talking, I can give you the argument. and
go
then
ahead,
you can
go ahead, go
respond.
ahead, go ahead.
Okay. I will take all of the combat roles of women, all of them, match them against all the combat roles of men in the same exact capacity, and then we can see who dies more in those capacities
Well,
in combat.
maybe women
But
are just smarter, that's why they
You
don't
haven't
get
even let me
killed.
get the argument out. You're already freaking out. I can't even get the
I'm
argument.
very
out.
calm.
Yeah, okay, so anyway, I will take all of the combat deaths, match it against the percentage of women in those roles versus men, and then we can determine per capita how many women in the same exact role die versus men. Which
Okay.
one do you think dies more in the role versus the percentage of them
Okay.
in that role?
Can I respond, Andrew?
Yes.
I think you just proved that women do the job better and don't get killed.
Ooh, I don't know.
What?
You're proving that women have done the job better and are not getting killed.
What?
Not the joke.
I mean, isn't that what you just
That
proved?
you're dumb as a box of fucking rocks.
Is that not what you just proved, though? That
No.
if women and men are doing the
No.
same combat roles and men are dying at a higher rate than the women doing the roles, clearly these roles should only be assigned to women then.
It's because
Men and
the way
women
that
are not
they
doing
assign
the
them
same
is the
roles,
way
though.
that they assign them in combat, right? The women are still given a lesser job even in the combat
That's what I
roles.
just said before that, though. I said that women are not assigned the same roles. You said, let's talk
There-
about
it's-
men and women
listen.
in the same roles.
But that's
Listen,
not
'cause you-
how
I don't know
it
why-
kind of
I don't
doesn't
know
work
why you
like
don't
that.
understand this. You can be infantry and a woman. You can be assigned the role of infantry and a woman. You can even be sent to the nation as infantry as a woman, right? And with the male infantry. That is the same job allocation. However, still those assignments are going to be less rigorous on behalf of women because of capability. Yes, the percentage of women
Because
who
of
die in
assumed
combat-
capability.
No. So, hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm prior service military. I served in the Army, and my husband's active duty Army.
Thank you.
He's in the infantry.
Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
I would say that women are not dying in the same amount as men, but I also would say even if they are in an 11 Bravo slot for infantry, they're not doing the same tasks as men. And
They
whether
can't.
it be from
They- 'cause they
assignment,
can't, 'cause they can't do
Do you
it.
think it's because they're not capable of doing those?
Yeah, they're
I
not
believe
capable.
that
They
they're
literally
not
can't do them.
capable of doing some of the roles that men do in the military. As a
They
woman who served in the
literally are
military.
incapable physically of doing those jobs as an 11 Bravo, or as a 13 Bravo, or as a 19 Delta, or as, whatever combat role you want to assign it to. It doesn't matter. It's not because women are doing them better. It's because they're incapable of doing most of these jobs, even when they're in the position of doing them. That makes my
Physically.
argument, not yours.
Physically.
Physically, they can't do it.
Yes, my little comment to that would be that I have done enough of the research about my own country and what's happening, and there is no such thing as physical equality when it comes to men and women. We're
Right.
different
course not.
physically, and even
That's why they're
though
drafting old men in the Ukraine. They're not drafting young women.
yeah, this is an incredibly heartbreaking topic, but of course there are hundreds of thousands of women in Ukraine that are committing to protecting our country right now, but it would be insane of me to say that they are physically capable of everything that the men do. But of course, we can be eternally grateful for everything that both of the genders are doing for us. It's just they can't be physically as capable as the men.
But I think to revisit the heart of the conversation, Andrew, was that is there any example of women laying their life on the line for men?
Yeah, but this has already been determined as being true. Yes.
But your whole point was that it wasn't true.
What is the word collective mean? What does it mean?
Okay.
What does the word collective mean? Can you tell me what the word collective means?
Yes,
I just want to
can.
make sure that you got the argument down.
I got it down.
What does the word collective mean?
The word collective is the majority, the group, all of the
Yeah,
women,
group, yeah.
all of the
Great,
men.
great.
Gotcha.
So when I literally say to you, yes, there are examples of women laying their lives down for men. That's not in dispute here, right? It's never been in dispute. It's never even been a part of my argument. It was yielded immediately, right away. The second you said it, I conceded to it. Has nothing to do with my argument. My argument's about the collective. Collectively, men lay their lives down for women. Collectively, women do not lay their lives down for men. If you can give me an example where collectively women do that, I can't wait to hear it.
Okay.
I do think, though, that there is a place for women in the military, and there is roles where
Yeah,
women
to
will
sign
go on
paychecks.
deployment.
The roles to sign
Well,
paychecks.
no,
and
I mean,
stuff.
there's other positions that women have in the military. Like me, I was 88 Mike, which is a truck driver. So
You were a truck driver.
right. So it's not just
we
admin
used to fuck with
jobs.
people. We'd say, go get us a Mike 88. Right? That's what you'd say to new people.
Yeah,
Go
but
get a
it's
Mike
not just
88 for
admin
us,
payroll
right?
clerk jobs, and there's plenty of men carrying those payroll clerk jobs as well.
Yeah, but they're not deploying 88 Mikes who are females into combat zones.
Yes, they do. That's
Yeah,
how Jessica
only,
Lynch got.
Only if they have massive.
That's how
NPS
Jessica
scores.
Lynch got abducted in OIF 1. Is she was
Yeah.
an 88 Mike overseas in the Gulf
Because it
or
was the
the
first
war.
time that they didn't send out a huge MP escort with the Mike 88s. That's why. So the
Well,
thing is,
no,
like, and by the way,
she wasn't
that
doing the
makes an
right
example
thing.
to my point of why they shouldn't be in military combat.
I agree.
zones.
I
Because
agree.
she got captured and then they raped her.
Right.
And that was a demoralizing effect on the American military, massive demoralizing effect. She should never have been there. And by the way, I'm going to say this again, and let's see if you can dispute this. If we collectively allowed women into combat zones, the enemy would capture them, they would sexually assault them, and they would send them back to their home countries pregnant. And the reason that they would do that is because it would be the most demoralizing thing they could do.
I don't think women should be in combat zones, but that's
Yeah, I
not
know, but
saying that
answer
they're
to what
not.
I just said. Can you answer to what I
I
just
mean,
said?
I guess, yeah, if that's how.
Wouldn't you, if you were in charge of a foreign military and they were deploying women into the combat zones and you wanted to demoralize their military, wouldn't you instruct your soldiers to capture those women, essay them, and send them home pregnant?
I don't think I would instruct my soldiers.
Yeah,
to
I
commit
don't
a
know
war
that I would
crime.
instruct them to do
If
that.
you wanted to demoralize the enemy, wouldn't you do that?
I mean, I'm not arguing that they would do that. I mean, they literally throw
That's
kids
what
in
they-
front of
that's what
trucks
they do
with
now.
They're
bombs
doing
on
it.
them. So I'm not arguing that they would do that. I would not initiate that.
If you were in charge of a military and you were fighting a war for protection for your nation, right? It's just like the Japanese instructed their soldiers to kill medics first. And the reason they instructed them to kill medics first is because they wanted the wounded on the battlefield screaming to demoralize the enemy. There's no reason for us to assume that the enemies of the United States, if we deployed women in combat roles to front lines, would not instruct their soldiers to capture them, essay them as publicly as possible, and send the video and pregnant women back to their country of origin in order to demoralize their enemies.
But that's a crime of war.
They don't care about crimes of war.
Well,
that's
that's true,
fictitious,
yeah.
made-up bullshit.
Okay, I
Do you know
agree.
who follows? Do you
I
know
agree
who
with it,
follows
but-
war crimes? The West follows what war crimes are. The enemies of the West don't give a shit. There's no crimes in a war because it's a war. They don't care. They don't care. The Israelis just blew up hundreds of people in public with their pagers. They don't give a shit about war crimes. Nobody cares about war crimes. Nobody cares because it's a war.
Okay, but
That's a completely feminine thought process that men give a shit about war crimes. They don't
why,
care.
why does it exist then?
Because collectively, countries want to make themselves look really good on paper. They want to look like they're part of Geneva Conventions. They want to outlaw flamethrowers. They change their uniforms all the time. They do all sorts of things. And then in the midst of war, what they'll do is they'll shoot white phosphorus over a spider hole, set people on fire, wait for them to run out so that they can shoot them, which is against the Geneva Convention, and they don't give a fuck. Am I wrong? You were in the military, you know, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't
That's
get
what they
punished
do.
for it ever?
No, they don't care. They don't care. Listen, if you're in a war, your job is to win the war. Your job's to kill the enemy with extreme aggression. It's to poison them. It's to stab them while they're sleeping. It's to murder them in any possible way you can think of to do it so that you win. That's warfare.
I think you see another kind of news than I do then.
You think that because in the civilized world that we conduct warfare a certain way. The British learned this lesson the hard way. Gentleman warfare went right out the window the second guerrilla tactics were introduced. So the thing is that no, all it takes is one person saying these rules are stupid, we're going to throw them out, and we're going to kill the enemy however we see fit. Who's to stop them? They're in a war. What are you going to do? Come kill them? They're already in a war.
Yeah, there are
That's
consequences.
the point. They're
Sometimes.
already in a war. They don't care.
Sometimes there are consequences.
I don't know. I feel like I don't. It's okay. I don't know.
You feel like I want to engage.
I feel I know you want to engage, but like I don't know. I feel like though there is like some kind of consideration for maybe not war crimes, but like for instance, like nuclear weapons and stuff. There's a reason why that doesn't occur, even though it could, you know. So
Yeah, it's because the nuclear armed nations would blast each other into smithereens. So
well,
we still use
I'm
conventional
aware,
warfare.
I understand, but I'm just saying. I feel like your point was that like people don't give a fuck because they just want to win the war. I feel like people do to a certain extent.
We would use nukes if we needed to win a war bad enough. We would use them. In fact, it's part of our warfare doctrine. It's part of our warfare doctrine. In fact, soldiers are trained in order to and how to sustain their lives in the event of a nuclear detonation for a reason. It's because inside of all game theory war plans in the United States, there's always the assumption somebody could use a nuclear bomb.
Lucas donated $100. A man's duty to sacrifice his life is so vigorously enforced by society that when the Titanic sank, one man survived and spent the rest of his life being called a coward by other men. Fact check me.
I mean, didn't more than one man survive from Titanic? But thank you, Lucas. Appreciate it, man. We have 4 more coming through. If you guys want, TTS is 100. Get them in. Thank you, Lucas. Again. Appreciate it, man.
Lucas donated $100. What Andrew is talking about is a settled anthropological concept known as male expendability. STFU and learn something.
Thank you,
What we
Lucas,
should
again.
do is, because women die less in combat because they're incapable of doing combat roles, is then put them in combat roles because they're better at it. That's woman logic 101.
All right. Thank you.
Christine donated $100.
Thank you,
Ladies, don't let Andrew win. Best thing to do is reframe the question and avoid answering him directly until he gets tired. I like to bring up anecdotal examples that are long so he tires. I hate men.
I love Christine.
Love you, Christine.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Christine. That was... Thank
Lucas
you.
donated
If he gets up,
$100.
you can hide it.
Holy shit, Red. If you were a first-year associate
hide
at
it if
my law